and welcome to episode number 0 of the Strength of Body and Mind podcast. I'm going to be your host. My name is Gordon Alexander Light. Thank you so much for checking this out. I really appreciate it. If you are listening to this after the initial launch timeframe, which is going to be late winter, early spring 2018, then I appreciate you going back and checking out some of the earlier content. If this is the first time you're listening to this and it is at the time of the launch, thank you so much for listening to it at the time that we're taking off here. So really appreciate it. Again, my name is Gordon Alexander Light. This is episode number 0. The intent of this episode is to give everyone who's listening a good idea of what I'm trying to do here, what the intent of the podcast as a whole is, and what Strength of Body and Mind means to me and why I'm building it. Now, again, I feel like I need to explain this. My name is Gordon Alexander Light. The reason that I include my middle name when I talk about that is because a lot of people know me as Alex or Alexander Light, and a lot of people know me as Gordon Light. And the reason for that is because, just a little background, my father and my grandfather, and subsequently I carried the trend out and did this to my son as well. We all have the first name of Gordon Light, and then we all have different middle names. So growing up, I always went by my middle name, which is Alex, and my father and grandfather, and now my son, we all go by our middle names when we're together. It's a weird family kind of quirk that I wanted to carry on because I think it's unique, and I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. So anyway, I typically go by Gordon now, in my, I guess, my professional life, if you will. But nevertheless, Gordon Alexander Light. I'm 33 years old at the time of recording this. Okay, so if you're listening to this after launch, in 2019 or beyond, then this might be different. But anyway, 33 years old. I am an engineer by trade. I went to Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston, Massachusetts for my undergraduate degree in electrical engineering, and then I went to Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Got my master's in engineering technology there. I am not going to spend hardly any time talking about that. Engineering is not my passion. It was my profession, and it's a career path that I went down for a period of time. Originally, I wanted to be a professor. I wanted to go on to get my PhD and become a professor in mathematics, physics, things like that. So I have a background in that interested me for a long time, and then I fell off kind of abruptly when I hit my late 20s. But anyway, so science and engineering background. The intent of this podcast, okay? Actually, before I get into that, one more thing. I am a father. I have a 6-year-old son. I did mention that earlier. I am married. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Beth, and those two things, my wife and my son, they are my entire reason for doing anything that I do, first and foremost. So they are everything to me, and they don't know this necessarily, but they are tethered to the origin of this podcast and the origin of the businesses that I'm building that are vertically integrated with this podcast and the content and material behind this podcast. So let me expand on that. The intent of this podcast, Strength of Body and Mind. Well, this was built off of about a 10, almost 11 year foundation of pain points and experiences that I went through. So to give you a little background, 2008, I graduated from from Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston with my undergraduate degree. I was about 245 pounds, in that range, 5 foot 11 inches and change, just under 6 feet. Okay, so if you can get a little visual there, not quite 6 feet, almost 250 pounds. You do the math there, you find out really quickly that my BMI suggests that I'm a textbook case for being obese. And, I have my thoughts on that whole phrase anyway, but regardless, I felt terrible. Okay, this is a typical case of someone who's overweight and extremely unhealthy. I felt terrible physically. I felt even more terribly emotionally, and there were many years of I didn't go get this clinically checked out, but I had bouts of depression for sure, and self-image issues plagued me like crazy, and this went on for years, and all through college. And what I found was, and a lot of people I know can resonate with this. I couldn't get out of my own head. Okay. It's really easy to talk about how to generate discipline and how to change your life and do all these things that are going to get you into a structured routine to, let's just say, for example, lose weight, right? Which is what I was dealing with, or put on weight for some other people, or do some other things, right? So these are physical things that people deal with weight loss, weight gain, muscle mass growth, fat loss, changing cardiovascular habits or something like that. These are all things that you can tell yourself you're going to do and then never do. And I was fascinated by that. So when I graduated high school in 2008, and I was probably a good 70 pounds overweight, give or take. I mean, that's all you got to take that in the context, the realizations of where I was at physically and where I was at emotionally, and all the self-image issues I had, and the little bouts of depression that I had, and the lack of confidence that I had. All of that came and struck me kind of at once. And when that happened, I graduated college, and I wasn't working yet, and I was able to take time, literally, like take hours out of the day and legitimately go into almost a like a find yourself meditative kind of mindset. I didn't sit in a room with my legs crossed and burn candles and do that kind of thing, although I have nothing against that. I just took quiet time during the day, all day, every day, while my friends and family, they were all out doing their thing. I wasn't working yet. I was still interviewing for jobs. I was able to do that. I was able to go to the gym and think. I was able to come home and literally sit at my desk and just kind of map out my thoughts. And what I really found right away was everything is mindset. And there was no thing that turned me onto that. I just kind of figured it out. I was like, I just realized somehow that there is a difference between disciplinary actions and setting yourself up to follow a disciplined, regimented structure or a schedule, and then the mindset that drives all of that. Okay, so I sort of realized that those are two different things. There's mindset, right, and then there's the actions that follow the mindset, which are based around discipline. I consider those two different things. I'm going to get into that in way, way, way more detail later on. But that was something that I figured out. Once I figured that out, I then was able to go on to lose about 80 pounds over the course of the next year. And it was changing my diet. It was going to the gym regularly. It was making all the right decisions. And it wasn't just because I was doing those in a binary sort of manner, like 1 or 0, like, yes, I'm going to eat that, or no, I'm not. It was all mindset. It was 100,000% mindset. And the mindset drove the discipline, and the discipline drove the resultant action. Okay. So that is what I'm obsessed with. In addition to that, I've gone on to become also obsessed with all of the little things that go along with that. So, fitness, nutrition, supplementation, those are things that all interest me a lot. And I think mindset kind of drives everything. And the name Strength of Body and Mind is the whole driving sort of foundation behind that, like the pillar that holds that entire name up, and all of the vertically stacked things that are built on top of that for me and what I'm doing are based around the fact that I believe that there's a mind-body connection that people just do not understand as a whole. And I'm not saying I understand it, because I don't either, but I think that I've put more effort into trying to understand it than I'd say your average person. And that's why this podcast exists. So I want to discuss and explore and dissect and interview people on the subject matters of all things fitness related, nutrition related, supplementation related. And also I want to get into the mental components of this, mindset, discipline, what it takes to really create those. What does that really mean? Why do so many people have so much trouble creating mindset and creating discipline and changing their lifestyle to match what they really think they want deep down? It's one thing to say you didn't try hard enough to lose 100 pounds, therefore you must not want it bad enough. But I don't know that that's true. I think that's an old school way of thinking about it, that I think is missing a piece, and that piece is the mindset behind it. You can want something really, really, really bad, and you can create, I believe anyway, that you can create sort of an action plan that maps to achieving that thing, and then never get there because you, or at least fail repeatedly getting there because you don't have the mindset that drives the actions to get there. Okay. Again, I think those are two different things. This might be really, really hard to digest at first, but I believe that there's multiple layers, right? At the mindset level, at the brain level, there's multiple layers. There's mindset behind everything. And then built on top of that pillar is discipline, which is put in place. They both need each other. You can't have discipline without mindset, and then mindset doesn't do anything without discipline to follow it up. So I've seen that work too many times over and over and over again. And I think that that's what separates someone who is able to go out and achieve something that's truly great, that's really, really hard, right? Like losing 100 pounds or putting on a lot of weight, when they're extremely thin and have a hard time doing so, or anything in between, right? I think all of that is extremely difficult. And I think the proof is right there, right? So many people have so much trouble with weight, and people have so many unhealthy relationships with food. And I think it all goes back to mindset. I'm obsessed with it. So that's one of the things that I'm going to focus on a lot with this podcast. Now, the podcast is structured right now to be a 2-time per week podcast. So Tuesday, Thursday is going to be the intent schedule that I'm going to plan to stick to. Tuesdays, I want to focus more on all things physical, right? Exercise, physical exercise routines, what the differences are between all of them, and then really get into the nitty gritty, like why like a bodybuilder might work accessories more than, say, a power lifter, why CrossFit's so popular, what the differences are between all those, what is general fitness, if there is such a thing, and HIIT cardio versus non-HIIT cardio, MIT cardio, if you've ever heard of that, medium intensity interval training. So I'm going to get into all that stuff one by one, dissect all of it, talk to some trainers, talk to some fitness professionals, and sort of get their thoughts on all of those things, all the different programs. Because honestly, if you take 2 minutes, 5 minutes on a social platform right now and just start looking up fitness terms like fitness hashtags or even just the word fitness or health or whatever, weightlifting or something like that, exercise, you'll see that there is seemingly an infinite amount of people who are online personal trainers. Just email me here at this email address and I'll set you up with a program. And that's really great. I believe that in most cases the intent is pure, but I just don't know that it's that simple. and because there's so much material out there, I think that it's really easy for someone to look at that and just get completely overwhelmed because there's just so many. So, just real quick, I just want to dive into that. So if you're a female and you're a younger female, I don't know, 22, 23, and let's just say you're overweight or what you think is overweight, and you have this image in your mind of what you think you want to be at, and you spend a lot of time on Instagram, and you're looking at other 23, 24, 25-year-old women who are in I'll just say better shape, quote unquote better shape, or they kind of seem to have the figure that you want or the health like target that you want to be at, and you follow them, and they're not like a big celebrity or anything, but they have a program that allows you to email that person. It says so in their profile, email me here at whatever gmail.com, and I'll set you up with a program. There's a lot to that I think is misunderstood, because you aren't able to sit down and really talk to that person, and you might build up this image in your head of what you think you want to be, and that is essentially, at that point, that is your mindset. That's the mindset behind everything, is I want to be that. I want to be that person, or I want to look like that person, or I want to have hips like that person, or legs like that person. I want to have the vascularity of that person. And it's just, I think it's just the wrong way to think about it, period. I think that everybody, literally everybody, can achieve the body of their dreams, the physical fitness level of their dreams, and everything in between, if they can develop the mindset to do it. And what that is, at the end of the day, what that physical fitness picture is of their dreams, or that body of their dreams, isn't necessarily what they're visualizing in their head. Because it's impossible to say that I, Gordon Alexander Light, here in February 2018, I want to have the body of my dreams is the body of Arnold Schwarzenegger 20 years ago. That is not necessarily even possible, right? Even if I did all the things that mapped to that, and I don't know that that's even possible. I don't know if I have the genetics for it, right? So, there's that you have to take into account, but also the mindset behind it, right? If you just try creating a mindset that drives you to creating discipline that maps daily actions to getting the body of somebody else, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. And I think that's where a lot of people have a lot of trouble, is they want to look like somebody else, and they will never actually look like that other person because they are not that person, and they end up in this cycle. So, to back this all up and tie it back, the mindset is everything. I want to spend time getting into the nitty-gritty about that. So again, Tuesdays are going to be spent on the physical side of things, and then Thursdays is where I'm going to spend more time talking about discussing, dissecting, and interviewing people on the subject matter of mindset, what mindset is versus discipline, my thoughts on that, some mind hacks, tactics, meditation, all those things that I think are equally as important. And I think that they are probably the reason why most people fail to get the physical achievements in their life that they want, the body that they want, the health level that they want, etc. It's not just a matter of going to the gym one extra day a week. It's not. There's more to it. So that is the schedule. And so that's pretty much it. I'm actually really, really excited about this. The idea has been brewing for a long time, and then one day it just hit me, and it was actually just a couple days ago, that now is the time to record. So, a few more fun facts about me and about the podcast. This is not going to be a G-rated podcast. I do swear, I do curse, I do cuss. It's in my normal vocabulary, and we can get into that. That's always a fun conversation to have, but it's in me. And just because I haven't sworn yet in this podcast doesn't mean that I don't. So it's in my normal vocabulary. You're going to hear it. And if that offends you, then that's okay. And, I hate to see you go, but you don't have to listen. So target length for the podcast episodes is probably going to be somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes. I can't see it going beyond that. And as far as connecting with me, I am Gordon Light, or Gordon A. Light, everywhere. I'll have all the links also in the show notes. The main place where I hang out right now is February 2018 is Instagram, Gordon.light, at Gordon.light. So feel free to hit me up, and I'd love to talk to you. So that's it. That's going to wrap up this episode, right? I'm going to cut it here. Listen, if health and fitness, nutrition, supplementation, and the mindset around all that, right, even including meditation, if all that interests you, or if you have someone in your life that would get value out of hearing about this stuff and likes the subject matter, subscribe. Give us a rating, whether you think it sucks, whether you think it's great. Give us a rating, share it with a friend, and I am looking forward to getting this going. And thank you so much for checking out one more time. Again, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Take care.